July 22, 1944. Lvov, Poland, 5:30 a.m. A cold dawn. The weak light of the rising sun barely touched the shattered rooftops. The city was still drowning in smoke and the acrid stench of gunpowder, the aftermath of a night-long bombardment. Crows circled above the gray sky, cawing ominously. On the narrow cobblestone street, twisted iron doors and broken bricks lay scattered. Silence reigned, broken only by the weary boots of German soldiers retreating into their defensive line. Suddenly the ground trembled. A deep, throaty rumble of an engine drew nearer. Out from behind the ruined wall, the Tiger I rolled forward. Its massive hull crushed debris under its tracks with a screeching grind. The 88mm gun swung menacingly, like a predator scanning for prey. The German infantry nodded with confidence. Nothing can pierce this armor. But at the far end of the street, a dark silhouette emerged. The IS-2, a 46-ton juggernaut, crept into view, its 122mm gun slowly angling down. The diesel engine growled, rattling shattered windows. The street fell silent, an eerie, suffocating pause, as if the whole city was holding its breath. Then a flash. Boom! The entire street convulsed under the blast, the explosion tearing through the morning air like thunder. A fireball engulfed the Tiger, its turret shuddering violently. The surviving German soldiers froze, eyes wide in horror, shouting, "Was ist das? What the hell is that?" IS-2 Iosif Stalin II. Its name was not just a designation, it was a warning, a steel message sent straight to Berlin. If Hitler's tigers spread fear, this is the beast that will hunt them down. Unlike the T-34, the agile workhorse mass-produced to flood the battlefield, the IS-2 was a monster built for breakthroughs. It was not designed to dart across the field. It was designed to strike the killing blow. Its weapon, the 122mm D-25T gun, was born from heavy field artillery. Its shells were so massive that each had to be loaded in two parts, the propellant case and the projectile. Each round weighed over 25 kilograms, as heavy as a 6-year-old child. When fired at supersonic speed, it did more than pierce armor. It shattered the enemy's spirit. German soldiers recorded in their memoirs, simply hearing the thunderous crack of the 122mm gun was enough to know that the Tiger may no longer be safe. The once feared 88mm gun, King of Kursk, now met its challenger from the east. Its armor-piercing rounds could tear through the Tiger I from over 1,000 meters, even crack the Panther's front. Its high-explosive shells could level an entire 3-story building, turning bunkers into rubble. A single hit from the IS-2 did not just destroy a tank. It wiped out an enemy strongpoint. To the Soviets, the IS-2 was not just a tank. It was Stalin's sledgehammer, a steel fist pounding open the gates of Berlin. To German soldiers, it was the shadow of fate, a harbinger that the reign of the Tiger had reached its end. Summer 1943. Across the golden wheat fields of Kursk, a storm of steel descended. The Battle of Kursk, the largest tank battle in human history, saw over 6,000 tanks and self-propelled guns, and millions of soldiers locked in a clash of fire and iron. The Red Army still had the T-34, the tank that had saved Moscow and turned the tide at Stalingrad. But when the Tiger I and Panther rolled onto the battlefield, everything changed. The 76.2mm shells of the T-34 simply bounced off the Tiger's thick armor. Meanwhile, the Tiger's 88mm gun could tear apart a T-34 from over 1,000 meters, at a range where the T-34 was powerless to strike back. Reports poured in from the front. A single Tiger halted an entire tank regiment. T-34 shells ricochet off Tiger's frontal armor. One Panther destroyed 3 T-34s within minutes. These were not just statistics. They were a psychological shock. Soldiers who once believed the T-34 was invincible now watched their comrades burn, helpless to stop it. The Tiger became the symbol of invulnerability, a moving nightmare that spread fear wherever it appeared. Inside the Kremlin, Soviet generals and tank designers faced a grim reality. The balance of armored power had shifted to Germany. Without an answer, the Red Army risked losing the momentum it had fought so hard to gain after Stalingrad. War is not only a clash of weapons, but a battle of belief. If Soviet soldiers lost faith that they could kill a Tiger, their fighting spirit would collapse. Thus, a demand was made, a new tank, stronger, heavier, with devastating firepower. A tank that could smash bunkers, storm fortified lines, and meet the Tiger head-on. The answer bore a name that was both political and symbolic: IS Iosif Stalin. It was more than a war machine. It was a message in steel sent directly to Hitler. Your Tigers are no longer untouchable. We have a new beast, and it has come to hunt them. When the IS-2 was born, it was immediately measured against Germany's most terrifying beasts. First, the Tiger was a 57-ton monster clad in 100 to 120 millimeters of armor, like a moving fortress. Its 88mm L-56 gun had spread fear at Kursk, able to kill a T-34 from over a kilometer away. To Soviet soldiers, the Tiger was not just a tank. It was a nightmare of steel. Then came the Panther. Introduced after Kursk, it was faster than the Tiger, with 80 millimeters of sloped frontal armor, designed so shells would glance off like raindrops on a roof. Its 75mm L-70 gun had terrifying penetration. It could tear apart any Soviet tank of 1943. Many called it Germany's perfect design. And finally, in the Tiger II, the Königstiger, the King Tiger, a 70-ton mobile fortress. With 150 millimeters of frontal hull armor and up to 180 millimeters on the turret, there was virtually no Allied gun in 1944 that could pierce it from the front. Armed with the longer, deadlier 88mm L-71, it could destroy enemies from over 2,000 meters. To German crews, it was the ultimate shield. To the Red Army, it was the mountain of steel blocking the road to Berlin. So where did the IS-2 stand in this clash of giants? At only 46 tons, lighter than both Tigers. But its secret lay in the massive 122mm D-25T gun, each shot slow, only 2 to 3 per minute. But every one was a sledgehammer blow of destiny. Head-to-head comparisons. At 1,000 meters, IS-2's AP shell could rip off a Tiger I's turret. The Tiger I, by contrast, needed to close within 600 meters to reliably pierce the IS-2's sloped 100mm armor of the 1944 model. Against the Panther, whose 80mm sloped armor once laughed off 85mm shells, the 122mm round could split it open with a single hit. Against the Tiger II, The IS-2 could not penetrate the thick frontal plate, but from the flank at 800 meters, its 25-kilogram shell could still punch through what seemed untouchable. Yes, the IS-2 fired slowly, but imagine, when an entire regiment of IS-2s opened fire together, each thunderous blast shook the battlefield, turning it into a symphony of fire and steel. The difference was not only technical. Germany built the Tiger and Panther as mechanical masterpieces, powerful but costly, complex, and slow to produce. The Soviet Union built the IS-2 as the weapon of the people, simpler, efficient, focused on overwhelming firepower. And when thousands of IS-2s rolled westward, side by side, even the mighty Tigers and Panthers were swallowed by a tidal wave of unstoppable steel. July 22, 1944. The city of Lvov, Poland. In the narrow streets choked with rubble, an IS-2 of the 72nd Guards Heavy Tank Regiment crept forward. Commanding it was Guards Lieutenant Baranenko, barely in his 20s, yet hardened by 2 years of brutal combat. Inside the cramped steel hull, sweat poured down the faces of the crew. The gunner gripped the traverse controls. The loader strained as he lifted a 25-kilogram, 122-millimeter shell, ramming it into the breach. Their breaths were heavy, blending with the deep growl of the diesel engine, the heartbeat of their steel beast. At the far end of the street, a Tiger I emerged. Its gray armor glistened in the morning light, the 88-millimeter gun slowly turning toward the IS-2. A suffocating silence fell, broken only by the pounding hearts of the Soviet crew. "Fire!" Baranenko roared. A flash lit the street. The 122-millimeter shell roared out, detonating with earth-shaking force. The Tiger's turret jolted violently. Black smoke billowed from the seams. German voices screamed, "We're sind getroffen! We're hit!" Baranenko wasted no time. "Change position! Load another round!" The IS-2 rumbled into a side alley, crushing bricks under its tracks. The loader groaned as he forced another massive round into the breach. Moments later, a Panther appeared at the corner, its 75-millimeter gun leveled. The IS-2 fired again. The shell slammed into its frontal armor. An eruption of fire consumed the Panther, turning it into a blazing inferno. In just 2 days of fighting at Lvov, Baranenko's crew destroyed 2 Tigers, 1 Panther, and over 60 German soldiers. From the terror of Kursk, the Red Army now saw with their own eyes. The Tiger could bleed. The Tiger could fall. When the commendation was announced, Baranenko and his crew received cash rewards and medals. But for them, the greatest reward was the sight of the Tiger burning, a fiery testament that Hitler's nightmare machine had finally met its challenger. August 1944, the Sandomierz bridgehead, Poland. On the open fields, IS-2s advanced forward, when suddenly, looming on the horizon, appeared the massive silhouette of the Tiger II, the Königstiger, 70 tons of steel, a 150-millimeter frontal plate, a turret as thick as a fortress wall. To German crews, it was invincible. To the Soviets, it was the greatest challenge they had ever faced. An IS-2 fired. The 122-millimeter shell screamed across the field. Clang! It bounced off the frontal armor, leaving only a dent. The crew froze. They had just faced a monster that seemed untouchable. But Baranenko and his comrades did not falter. "Flank it!" came the order. The IS-2 roared forward, maneuvering to the Tiger II's side. "Fire!" Boom! The shell slammed into the side armor, ripping through. Flames erupted from the turret. The beast of steel, thought to be immortal, collapsed in fire and smoke under the hammer of the 122-millimeter gun. The battlefield shook with the triumphant cry, "Hurrah!" The roar of men who had just witnessed their deadliest enemy fall. At Sandomierz, the Red Army even captured 3 Tiger IIs intact, sending them to Kubinka for study, proof that even the King Tiger could bleed. And then, April 1945, the Battle of Berlin, the IS-2 led the way. On the burning streets, 122-millimeter shells leveled bunkers, shattered strongpoints, and blasted open the gates for infantry to pour into the heart of the city. The Brandenburg Gate, the Reichstag, silent witnesses as IS-2s ground over the rubble of the Third Reich. From Kursk, where Tigers spread terror, to Lvov, where the IS-2 proved its might, to Sandomierz, where the King Tiger fell for the first time, and finally to Berlin, where the IS-2 became the iron symbol of victory. At that moment, the world understood the age of the Tiger was over, and the IS-2 had delivered the sledgehammer blow that ended the Third Reich. The victory of the IS-2 was not measured only in the number of Tigers or Panthers destroyed. It was measured in the change of belief, both on the battlefield and in the hearts of millions. At Kursk, Soviet soldiers had trembled before the Tiger, calling it the invincible monster. But just 1 year later, at Lvov and Sandomierz, they watched Tigers, and even the King Tiger, burst into flames. Fear turned into confidence, and that confidence became the Red Army's deadliest weapon. The IS-2 was not perfect. It fired slowly, carried little ammunition, and maneuvered less elegantly than the Panther. But it was never meant to win in rate of fire. It was designed to deliver sledgehammer blows. In urban battles like Berlin, its 122-millimeter high-explosive shells flattened bunkers, collapsed fortifications, and opened the gates for infantry to surge forward. That was its true power, not just to kill tanks, but to shatter entire defensive systems. Strategically, the IS-2 proved a timeless truth. War is not only a contest of refined engineering, but a struggle of numbers, simplicity, and effectiveness. The Germans had Tigers and Panthers, mechanical masterpieces, but slow, costly, and prone to breakdowns. The Soviets had the IS-2, cheaper, simpler, powerful enough to challenge, and most importantly, produced in the thousands. The lesson goes beyond World War II. It is a reminder for every age that true power lies not only in a single super weapon, but in the way that weapon is combined with strategy, organization, and human will. The IS-2 became a symbol. To Soviet soldiers, it was Stalin's sledgehammer, the hammer that smashed open Berlin's gates. To German troops, it was the shadow of fate, a sign that Hitler's empire could not endure. And to history itself, the IS-2 stands as proof of one eternal truth. Even the seemingly invincible will fall when met with faith, numbers, and unbreakable resolve. Today, the IS-2 still stands on squares in museums, silent steel witnesses to an era of fire and blood. They are not just tanks, they are monuments of history. From Kursk to Berlin, from fear to faith, the IS-2 proved a timeless truth. Nothing is invincible. True strength lies in resilience, in willpower, in the belief of men. And this is but one of countless untold stories of World War II. Join us at Oblivion Archive as we uncover more weapons, battles, and human struggles that shaped history, but remain hidden in its shadows. Because history is not just the past, History is the key to understanding the present and writing the future.